Hello everyone, this is the Undying Nephilim, here to bring you another update. The next large patch for Hyrule Total War is based largely around the redesign of two particular factions. Last time we looked at the first, which was Labrina, and their awesome gun-toting army, and today we will look at the second faction, the Fairies of Tarm. Unlike Labrina, which had one sort of obscure appearance in the canon Zelda series, the fairies have pretty much been prevalent in every single game. They've come in a large variety of forms and physical appearances, many which are not really all that uniform at all. In fact, you'd probably never even realize some of these creatures were related to each other. So designing a uniform army based around such a large plethora of designs and visual creatures is kind of a challenge, especially compared to some of the other factions, which canonically are pretty uniform to begin with. Instead of going the old route in the old version of Hyrule Total War, I wanted to include a lot of visual diversity this time around, so all the different fairy units look pretty different from each other, much like in the canon games. But I still wanted to imply that they were all related, that they basically all came from the same source, and they were all uniform in some way. So in order to pull that off, I included many features on each fairy unit, such as segmented arms and legs, things like mandibles and insect jaws, and of course compound eyes. I basically went back into real world mythology such as Irish and a lot of different Celtic mythologies, and I made the fairies a lot more, I don't want to say sinister, but a lot more bug-like and insectoid. As far as gameplay is concerned, the fairies are almost the exact opposite beast of their rivals down in Labrina, whereas Labrina sort of just picks a hill or a very good position in the terrain to bunker down and fortify their position, and then bombard people with guns and cannons. The fairies are extremely mobile, and they can zip around and harass enemies with their magic-based attacks from multiple fronts and positions. Nearly every fairy unit can fly, obviously because they have wings, so it makes them very difficult to fight off in a melee because they can dodge a lot of melee attacks. However, they're extremely vulnerable to ranged attacks, such as bows and arrows, but particularly other magic attacks. So if you have a fairy fighting a Wizrobe army, it's going to be a pretty crazy battle, seeing magic spells flying around everywhere and everyone getting burned and blown up. But the fairies are also a heavy siege faction, so they have some of the best siege equipment in the game, and they're really good at assaulting and taking over cities. The only other faction that rivals their siege power is the Gorons. There are not too many named fairy characters throughout the Zelda series. There are several important ones, such as the Fairy Queen from Wind Waker, and naturally she'll make an appearance. But some of the fairy characters are they're sort of original ideas as opposed to named characters, since there's not that many to choose from. Some particular fairy characters, such as Venus from A Link to the Past, will make an appearance, but as far as the hero characters go, we're going to see a few faces not from the canon Zelda games, if you want to call these faces. As I said in my Labrina video, I'm going to attempt to have the public release of this update by Christmas of this year, in spite of my day job. Patrons will, of course, get the patch an entire month early, so if I have everything ready in time, and I plan on doing the Christmas release, all my patrons will get it the 25th of November, as opposed to Christmas. If you'd like to become a patron and help me make this my full-time job so I can finally just create this without any more interruptions or delays, I'll have a link in the video description. Every buck helps, and as I said, with enough money I can finally just work on this as a full-time job and help get you guys updates and more factions out at a faster pace. Anyway, thank you guys very much for listening, and hopefully the fairies will end up being really fun to play as, and I'll see you guys next time on the next update.